Yo, what's good? This your boy Zirk. So remember Mike's trash PhD? And then Mike said, nah, that was just a rough draft. The real one is clean. And then it turned out he lied and tried to cover it up with a fake document? Well, Mike thought he could talk his way out of it. Went on a whole podcast tour, made excuses. And Solomon Nelson just dropped a 40-minute video destroying every single excuse Mike made. Let me break this shit down. So after getting caught lying, Mike went into full damage control mode. Started doing podcast appearances trying to explain himself. And his excuses, man, they're comedy gold. First excuse. My PhD was only 1/3 of my degree, so it was designed to be in the bottom 10% of quality. Wait, what? This man really said, yeah, my PhD was supposed to be trash. That's part of the program. That's the defense? That's like failing a test and telling your parents, nah, I was supposed to get a D. It's by design. Don't worry about it. As Solomon pointed out, if East Tennessee State University really runs a program where the PhD thesis only needs to be 1/3 as good as a normal thesis, then they basically admitting they run a diploma mill. You think the university gonna back Mike up on that? Yeah, our PhDs are bottom tier by design. Please still respect our degrees. Nah, bro. Second excuse. All those errors were just clerical mistakes from copy-pasting tables wrong. Mike said he accidentally offset all his data tables by 1 cell. Just a little whoopsing with the copy-paste. Could happen to anyone, right? Except Solomon looked at the actual tables and said, nah, this don't make sense. If you offset everything by 1 cell, then all the data will be fucked up the same way. But in Mike's thesis, only certain columns are messed up. The others are fine. So either Mike's lying about how the error happened, or he's so bad at Excel that he managed to create a unique type of fuck-up that defies logic. Either way, not a great look for a doctor. Third excuse, and this is my favorite. Mike tried to explain why spell check didn't catch his typos. He said, well, I spelled science as sense, and that's a real word, so spell check didn't flag it. Sounds reasonable, right? Except Solomon went back and checked. Mike didn't spell science as sense. He spelled it as SCNC. SCNC. That's not a word. That's not even close to a word. Spell check would 100% catch that. So Mike lied about his typo. He made up a story about how the typo happened, and the story itself was wrong. This man can't even tell the truth about lying. That's advanced level bullshit.
Scroll down, only 400 comments. Even Alex, where are all the comments? Either deleting or filtering them. So these guys, his team, they are on a huge damage control right now, guys. Deleting comments. Imagine having to delete 2,000 comments off of your videos in order to try to do damage control. That is absolutely insane. You look at the amount of comments that are there compared to all of his content before Solomon dropped his piece. There is a lot of comments getting deleted. The views are down massively.
Scott Herman did an analysis of Mike's YouTube comments and found out Mike been deleting comments. Not just a few, thousands of comments. Mike or his team went through and deleted thousands of comments trying to hide the criticism, while simultaneously going on podcasts talking about how he's not above criticism. You can't say you welcome criticism while mass deleting criticism. Pick one. And then there's my favorite part of Mike's defense. Credentials are kind of bullshit anyway. This is coming from the man who built his entire brand on Dr. Mike. Look at his old content. Dr. Mike says this. PhD approved training. The man marketed himself as Dr. Mike for years, made it his whole identity, even admitted on camera that getting the PhD was a really good idea because of the authority it gave him. But now that the PhD is exposed as trash, credentials don't really matter. They kind of bullshit. Nah, bro. You don't get to use the credential to make millions, then call credentials bullshit when someone checks if you actually earned it. But the wildest part of this whole thing? Through all these podcast appearances, all these hours of excuses and explanations, Mike never once addressed the main issue. He lied. He forged a document. He tried to cover up the bad thesis with a fake clean version. Got caught, then pretended it was all just confusion about which draft got uploaded. That's not confusion, that's fraud. And Mike keeps talking about typos, about formatting, about his program structure, about anything except the fact that he tried to deceive everyone and got caught. That's the real scandal. Not the bad thesis, the cover-up, the lies, the forgery. And Mike's strategy is to just not talk about it. Hope everyone forgets. Bury it under a mountain of other explanations. Now, let's talk about Lane Norton, because Lane decided to white knight for Mike in the comments. Lane wrote, and I'm paraphrasing because the comment got deleted, "Never heard of this Solomon guy. Just another punk sitting behind a computer talking shit. Zero concept of research. I'm sure I'll be the next hit piece." First of all, Lane said he never heard of Solomon, then in the same comment demonstrated detailed knowledge of Solomon's content and style. So which is it, bro? Here's what's really happening. Mike and Lane represent what Solomon calls the old guard. The old guard thinks credibility only comes from having the right degrees, knowing the right people, being in the right circle. And anyone outside that circle who criticizes them is just a hater or a punk acting in bad faith. But the internet changed the game. People can spot bullshit. And Mike keeps trying to reframe everything. The thesis was 12 years old. It was never meant to be public. It was for coaches, not evidence-based fitness nerds. But a PhD thesis is a public document. It's submitted to the university library. It's searchable. It's permanent. And if it was meant for coaches and not academics, then why is it written in the most confusing, pretentious, overcomplicated language possible? Solomon pointed this out. Coaches can't use Mike's thesis because it's full of unnecessary jargon and formulas that nobody in the real world would ever apply. So it's not academic enough for academics and not practical enough for coaches. It's just bad. Now let me bring this back to the bigger picture, because this isn't just about Mike anymore. This is about what happens when influencers build their brands on fake credentials and then get caught. Mike's entire career is built on Dr. Mike. The PhD is his brand, is why people listen to him, is why companies pay him. It's the foundation of everything. So what happens to the brand now? Can Mike still sell PhD-approved programs when the PhD is exposed as a joke? Can he still give scientific advice when he tried to lie and cover up his lack of scientific rigor? Mike's hoping this blows over, that people forget, that he can just keep posting Instagram reels and everyone moves on. And you know what? He might be right, because people have short memories, and Mike is entertaining, and most of his audience probably doesn't care that much about academic integrity. But we've all seen the PhD. We know it's trash. We know he tried to hide it. We know he lied about it multiple times. The mask is off. So where are we at now? Mike's been exposed twice. Once for the bad thesis, once for lying about the bad thesis. Lane defended him, got called out, deleted his comment. The whole evidence-based fitness community is looking shaky right now because the leaders of that community are showing they don't actually care about evidence when it makes them look bad. They only care about evidence when it supports what they already want to believe. I'm Zirk. Stay real. Peace.